Hey guys, this is Andre, Horizon City News. And this evening I was watching a video about the Niles, Illinois Police Department. And the channel, I'm not even familiar with. It has less than 100 videos, but it's actually got a pretty big subscribership. I'll have to look that up later because as I'm recording, I can't see what channel it's from. But I'll put it all down in the description box below. You can probably see it on the screen here. I can't see it right now at this second. But anyway, there was two men in Niles, Illinois. They're boyfriends. One of them accused the other of attacking him physically. So it's like a domestic battery incident that the other man was being accused of. And that's him right there in this picture. He's laying on his bed. He's looking up at the camera. And so that's him. That's the guy that got arrested eventually. The video link for this video is down in the description box below, so you can watch the whole thing. But the reason I'm making my quick video regarding this video that just came out yesterday is that I noticed that the police department, on a couple of their procedures, was doing some things that I just had some questions about. One of which was the police actually put their hand through the window of this. It was an apartment, by the way. I should have mentioned that. They put their hand through the window of the apartment because when they first came to knock on the door, after doing a bunch of questioning of the victim that was down below. By the way, it's a second floor apartment. So the victim was on the ground floor, and then they came up to the second floor. They were knocking on the door. This guy was still inside, the guy that's being accused of the domestic battery. And, so they start knocking on the door, no answer. All the lights are off in the apartment. Then they go over to the window. One of the cops starts jiggling with the window and actually opens the window and puts his hand inside the house, inside the apartment. And he starts, moving the blinds so he can get by the blinds, and he starts flashing his flashlight around inside whatever room that was. I don't know if it was the living room or what, but he starts going. He put his hand through the threshold of the home, through the window, and started flashlighting inside the home. So that's one of my first biggest questions about this incident was he allowed to do that? Which, I could be wrong. I mean, I have a gut instinct that makes me think that maybe he wasn't allowed to do that, but he's the police, and I'm sure that the police know better than me. Maybe he was allowed to do that. That's what I'm trying to find out. That's what I'm trying to learn here is that was he allowed to open the window and put his hand in with a flashlight and start flashing around inside? Because I thought they weren't allowed to do that unless they literally heard like someone inside that was screaming or something. But maybe in a situation like this where there's someone who's outside the home and claims to be a victim, and the guy that's inside is being accused of some sort of violent crime, maybe they're allowed to do that. So that's why I'm making this video. That's one of my questions about this incident. I also have other questions about this incident, but I don't want to muddy the water with too many concepts all at once. So I'm just going to make this video about that first question. And then also I did a brief phone call to the Niles, Illinois Police Department this evening, and I asked the front desk person who answered the phone, who was a civilian member. He was a civilian staff member, but he just gave me some basic information so that I could, get in touch with the public information officer and the records department if I wanted to, find out any more information about the police department or this particular incident. I don't know if I'll have the time to do all that. Possibly, in a perfect world, I'll have the time to look into if they had a policy about the police officer putting his hand through that window. We'll see how it goes. But at the very least, I just wanted to make a short video and just ask people in general out there in internet land, just regular average people, or especially if you happen to be a police officer and you're watching this, even if you're not from the state of Illinois, I'm sure that the laws are in general pretty much the same. Some places I know, like New Mexico, are really strict about stuff like search and seizure, so maybe New Mexico cops shouldn't answer. But I know that in general, most states have pretty similar laws, But anyway, like I said, this is the state of Illinois. So it's up in the Midwest in Illinois. So they have their own laws in Illinois. I don't know anything about them. I live here in Texas, and I'm definitely not a lawyer. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but at the very least, I know a little bit about Texas because I live here, but I don't know anything about the inner workings of Illinois state law. But I do know that the Fourth Amendment, like I said, in general, should be pretty much the same in general as far as most things go, especially when it concerns the home. So the home is supposed to be the most protected place in the Fourth Amendment. And here we go. I mean, as you can see, the police officer, he opens the window and he starts moving the blind and looking inside. So, I mean, that's my question is that allowed? Like I said, there's other concepts and topics about this particular incident I want to get into in the future. But at the very least, I wanted to touch on this one thing was that cop legitimate and good to go with opening the window and looking inside like that? I'm just curious if that was legit. All right. Yeah, definitely check this video out. It could have been any crime that it dealt with where a cop happens to open a window and reach inside. This happened to be a domestic battery incident where the cops arrived and ended up opening a window and putting their hand inside. It could have been any other type of crime. It could have been a burglary or a welfare check or whatever, but this happens to be a domestic battery incident with a couple, these two men who are both boyfriends that share an apartment. So I guess, that would probably be considered like some sort of common law marriage or something when it deals with all domestic family law issues and all that stuff, because they shared the apartment. They both paid the bills. It's not, the point I'm trying to make is this guy didn't just come over for a date. It wasn't just some one night stand. These guys actually lived together, paid the bills together. This is a long-term thing. But like I said, that's all like background noise and background information to what led to the police officer from the Niles, Illinois Police Department coming up to the second floor to this apartment, which I believe is unit number 16. And then he came up to the window, opened the window. That window was closed originally. He opened it, moved the blind, and then started poking his head in with his flashlight and looking around. Even though it's very briefly, I want to know, is that legit, And like I said, there's other concepts where they then had the victim go inside through the window. I mean, I guess they knew what they were doing. That looked a little sketchy to me, but I guess it got the job done. But that's a whole nother topic. But like I said, them opening that window, I just need some answers about that. I don't know if they were allowed to do that. All right, again, thanks for watching Horizon City News. I don't want to make this video too long. I'll be in touch. All my contact information is in the description box below. And if you guys have the time, make sure you watch this original video. These guys that have this channel, they're doing great work getting these body camera videos uploaded to YouTube so that everybody can watch and learn from situations. And it's not easy dealing with all these open records issues, so I'm proud of these guys because, they're taking the time to get these videos from these police departments and then getting them on YouTube. That takes a lot of work behind the scenes, so I'm glad that there's people out there doing that sort of thing because I know how hard it can be. All right, so anyway, like I said, I'll be in touch. Thanks for watching Horizon City News. This is the Niles, Illinois Police Department, and overall, they seem like a professional police department, but I do have questions about them actually physically opening that window without a warrant and putting his hand inside and looking around. I want an answer to that as to whether that was a legit procedure or not. All right, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going into the month of September, last quarter of 2023. And before you know it, it's going to be Halloween, Christmas, and then we'll be on to 2024. Time flies by. All right, I'll be in touch. All my contact information is down below. Thanks for watching Horizon City News.
All right, guys, so can you go into an apartment to arrest the husband for domestic if the wife is out of the apartment and the husband says you cannot come in. All right, my name is Anthony Bandiero, attorney and senior legal instructor, bringing you the roadside chat from Addison. The city of the police department in Addison, Texas, has been great partners with Blue to Gold for a while, and we are training over here at the fire station. We're training the entire department, and thank you guys at Addison for having me. All right, so the officer says, it's an officer from Iowa, says, I'm familiar with Georgia versus Randolph. That's the case where the husband says, no, you cannot come in and search. The wife says yes. The Supreme Court says they cancel each other out. I'm also familiar with Payton versus New York. That's the case where the cops had probable cause for murder, and based off the probable cause alone, they made entry into the home to arrest Payton, and the Supreme Court said that will not work. Here's the facts. A little long, but worth it. Stick with me. Officers were dispatched to an apartment where there was a 911 call of a male assaulting a female with a knife. Dispatch advised that just prior to the officer's arrival, the female was still located inside. As officers were on scene about to make entry, so far so good, the female approached from the outside of the apartment and she had escaped prior to their arrival. Officers then backed off, spoke with the female, and to gather all the information, she had been assaulted several times, and officers had probable cause for domestic abuse, strangulation, and assault with a weapon. The male was inside refusing to answer the door and said that officers needed to leave. The female was also has equal rights to the apartment. Clearly, she's a co-occupant. She said, we can go in there if we wanted to arrest him. Does a warrant need to be executed to enter that apartment and arrest the male on the probable cause charges when the female gave consent? I understand that they are both there and have equal say, which cancels each other out per Georgia versus Randolph. So another person's argument was that we can enter anyway because you're not searching for anybody. All right. The answer is, I do not believe that you can go in based off of consent, right? I do believe that Randolph controls here. The idea behind Randolph is not necessarily of searching. It's the idea is, hey, you cannot be in a home when a cohabitant with equal authority over that home is saying leave. So, you know, it's like, I mean, imagine if Georgia versus Randolph was, the cop said, hey, look, okay, fine, we're not going to search, but we don't want to leave either. And your wife says we can stay. You think the Supreme Court's be like, in that case, you can stay as long as you want. That's not how it works. The home is the most protected area in the Fourth Amendment. So if the husband says leave, whether or not they're searching at that, you know, that's their intent to search. I mean, imagine if the intent is just to have an interview with the wife. That's not searching, but do you have to leave? The answer is yes. Okay, so that part's not gonna work. So the consent is problematic to me, right? If we're going to get into that home, we're going to need some form of exigency. Now, here, when it comes to domestics, there are several things that we can probably look at to see if we have exigency. Number one is, all right, is there somebody else in that house that is in danger? This guy, this husband, just got done strangling his wife, has a weapon. If there is anybody else in that house, I'm sure it'd be very easy to articulate that somebody is in imminent or immediate harm inside the home. That gets you in there. We don't have time to a warrant. The second thing is evidence. Is there evidence in that home that could be destroyed before cops come back with a warrant? He just got done strangling his wife. Is there DNA, skin, trace evidence on his clothes, under his fingernails? What about that evidence? If you see slashes on her neck and grab, maybe you want to bag his hands, maybe you want to photograph him, maybe you want to DNA him. So that's another way, a viable way, in my opinion, to get inside the house. Also, she has a right to enter that home. Maybe the consent is problematic, right, for Georgia versus Randolph, but she certainly has a right to go into her own home and grab clothes, grab her stuff. Maybe she wants to leave, and so forth. So if she is lawfully present, which she is, then you can be lawfully present under exigency to protect her. So that's how I look at that as well. So if she wants to, grab stuff out of the house and so forth, she has a right to do that, okay? I don't think he can basically say, hey, even my wife cannot come in here. No, that's not how it works, obviously. So if she wants to go in there, and then you can obviously make the scene, maybe articulate, you can make the scene safe before she goes in there. I think that's where I'm at on this. But if she's like, I ain't going back in there, I'm actually out of here, I'm going to my sister's, and you don't have the evidence issue, and you don't have danger to other people, or you don't have any other facts that lead you to believe that by the time you come back, he's going to ambush, barricade, and so forth, and there's no, again, no evidence going to be destroyed, then I think the best course of action here is go get a warrant. Okay, that's my answer. Hopefully it helps. There's no specific case law that I can think of on this issue, but that's how I would analyze it. All right, hope it helps. Keep safe.
Now,
I'll see you guys next time.
Jeffrey, how can I help you?
Hello, officer. You said your name is Officer Jackie?
Jaffe.
How do I spell that?
Jaffe.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Sorry, sir. I was just calling. I had a couple general questions about a video that I had recently seen about your police department. I don't know if you can answer them or not, but I just wanted to ask.
Sure.
Well, the question I have, it regards there was a domestic battery incident. There was two men. They were boyfriends. It was in August of 2022. And I'm sorry?
No, I said, go ahead.
Yeah, and so your police department responded. One thing led to another, and one of the men was arrested for domestic battery, and I guess there was some other stuff, like he swung at a police officer, so he got charged with that as well. But anyway, the question that I have was involving one of the procedures, or actually two of the procedures that your police department did, just out of curiosity. During the investigation, like the victim was outside, and then the person being accused of the domestic battery was still inside. This is at an apartment complex. And after questioning the victim, eventually the police, by the way, the apartment was on the second floor. So after they did some questioning of the victim, the police made their way back up to the second floor. And so this is where my question comes up, is that they started walking around with their flashlights, and they were knocking on the door. They were trying to get inside. They obviously didn't have a warrant. And then the guy that was being accused of the battery was inside. But it was obvious that the cops didn't want to just go in because they didn't have a warrant.
Right.
So then they started walking around with their flashlights. They came up to one of the windows. And so this is where my question comes in, is one of the cops then started jerking with the window, and he slid it open. And he actually put his hand through the window and started moving stuff around, like the blinds and different items, so that he could shine his light in there. And that was my first question: is that allowed? I mean, I thought that unless they have a warrant, they can't just go in, even through the window.
Right. So in reference to the video, I'm familiar with the video that you're referring to. I just saw that a couple days ago. I'm not able to comment on any type of procedural thing, just because that's out of the scope of my wheelhouse. I'm up here front desk staff, so I can do a couple things for you. Put you on a brief hold. I can check with the on-duty sergeant, see if they want to either speak with you or they want to advise you, or I may have to refer you to media inquiries, which is going to be an email address. So can I put you on a brief hold?
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, and I'll take the email address regardless.
Yeah, no problem. Give me 1 second, okay?
Yes, sir. And what was your badge number?
86.
All right. Thank you, officer. I'll wait for you.
No problem.
Thank you for calling the Village of Niles. We are committed to serving our community, and we'll be with you in just a moment. Thank you for calling the Village of Niles. We are committed to serving our community, and we'll be with you in just a moment.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Thanks for holding. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I spoke to my sergeant. I'm going to go ahead and refer you to the email for all media inquiries. Let me know when you're ready for that email address.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so it's going to be NPD, so Nora Paul David, PIO, Paul Ida Ocean, at vniles.com. So Victor, Nora, Ida, Lincoln, Edward, Sam.com.
Sounds great. Would you be able to give me the case number that this incident was regarding?
Unfortunately, I don't have that in front of me, and that would have to be something that would likely have to be Freedom of Information requested, and that's something you can ask them through the email, and they'd be able to advise you from there.
Okay. How many people work in your police department?
No, I don't have the answer to that offhand. However, I'm going to look that up for you. I'm going to let you know. Hold on for me 1 second, okay?
All right. I'm just trying to get a ballpark figure. I mean, I know it's not New York City, but...
Mm-hmm. No, we're a smaller village. About 30,000 people live here. So, let me get you. Let me see what I got. Okay, so the closest thing that I could find answer-wise is going to be that we got about 55 sworn officers.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to get a ballpark figure. So, yeah, it's a small police department in a, relatively small town. My town has about 25,000, so I'm kind of the same style.
Yeah.
And the reason which I prefer, by the way, and the reason I asked that question about the general size of your police department is my next question was going to be, do you guys have like a dedicated records department with actual full-time records personnel, or is it just like some one cop that has a collateral duty, or how does it work with your records?
No, we have a full-time records department.
Okay. And do you happen to know?
They're here during... No, that's okay. They're here around 8:30 or 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. all weekdays. So if you have specific records inquiries during that time, you can call at the number that you called here and ask to speak to records, and you'll be transferred to them. They've got a couple people. They got a records supervisor. He handles all the Freedom of Information stuff as well.
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be great. I'll do that in the future. And you're a patrol officer?
Me, no. I am operational support, so front desk civilian staff.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we're a 24-hour department, so desk staff 24 hours as well.
Okay, but like you're just at the front desk, you're not doing dispatch stuff.
That's correct. That's
its
own separate thing.
Yeah, I was just curious. All right, and I'm sorry, it's been a long night. You said your name is Officer, how do I pronounce it again?
Jaffe, Jaffe.
Jaffe, okay. Yeah, it was great talking with you, Officer Jaffe. And I'm sorry, your badge number was?
It's going to be 86.
86, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for all the information. Thanks for your patience. And
no problem.
And, you really helped me out, and I'll be in touch with your people in the future later this week.
All right. Sounds good. You take care.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.